Hello students, the mains examination for CSE 2024 is few days away. Just wanted to share some last minute tips which can be helpful for you in the examinations. First and foremost, make sure that you scan the paper properly, right? So that you know what is a marking pattern, because there has been instances where a marking pattern has changed over a year without being informed. So you don't want to be in a situation where you finish the first 10 questions and realize the marking pattern has changed. So skim through the questions, make sure that you understand what is a marking pattern, make sure that you prioritize questions in a sequence where you spend the first 2.5 hours on themes and areas which you can deliver good content. Make sure that whenever you come across questions which are difficult to answer or which you do not know, push it towards the last so that your bad handwriting, stress, everything goes to those few questions, right? Put your good time on good questions, right? If possible, try to tackle questions of similar nature together. Sometimes what happens is that when you're writing an IR question, you will remember some information which you could not put in that particular answer, but it can be a good content to introduce or conclude in a question at a later point of time. So one trend that we are seeing is that people are trying to write questions of the same subject together, which will create some kind of advantage for you, right? Other than that, don't get stuck on tough questions. You will come across one or two bouncers in every paper, right? Be it in the form of art and culture questions, be it in the form of geography questions, be it in the form of core polity questions, core economic questions. There will always be one or two questions in every paper which is difficult to tackle. Don't get emotionally attached to that question. Don't overinvest your time on those questions and create a impact on subsequent questions where you could have done better. Make sure that you address all parts of the questions. And I think this is what happens for a lot of senior candidates. As soon as they see a question, they remember so much about that particular part, they are overwrite about that part and do not address all parts of the questions. Students who do well in the examination always make sure that they are addressing all parts of the questions properly, right? And invest majority of your time and space in every answer on what has been asked. I've consistently seen a pattern in top 10 rank holders and top 100 rank holders where they do not overstretch the introduction to half a page or overstretch the conclusion into half a page. They give maximum emphasis on the core demand. Majority of their space and time is on what has been asked. And this is particularly important for 10 markers. And in 15 markers, you can probably leverage a few more lines for something extra, right? Now, use subject-specific keywords. I think this gives an illusion of having a subject background or subject knowledge in that. Don't overuse thinkers and theorists into your answers. Don't bring too much of your optional knowledge into GS answers. Wherever possible, incorporate quotes, catchphrases, taglines, government mottos. These things are working. Introduction, conclusion in the body. If possible, try to give good introductions and good conclusions. Introductions are the first impression of the evaluator towards your answer, which can have a positive impact. Don't write cliche things. Try to come up with novel and innovative things in your introduction. Try to establish the relevance of the question in the introduction. Conclusion is the last thing that evaluator will read before they give marks to you. So make sure that you enrich your conclusion also, because I have always seen that many stoppers have very good conclusions and introductions which help get good marks. Diversify answers. Don't write every answer in the same way. If possible, try to have some questions in point format, some in paragraph format, some in tabular format, some with diagrams, maps. Make sure that there's a diversity across the paper so that the evaluator does not feel monotonous evaluating your paper, right? Incorporate usage of maps and diagrams across the paper, especially in art and culture, geography, IR, security, disaster management, environment, agriculture, even in ethics, because I think it brings diversity into the paper, breaks the monotony, and it has been seen across papers of toppers who have scored well in the last few years. If there is a possibility of addressing an implicit demand, I call this the however syndrome, right? The core demand. Just before you conclude, dedicate 2 or 3 lines to bring in some part of the answer which has not been explicitly asked, which is inferred in the question. That could potentially add half a mark into your answer. And many of you who are worried about whether you will be able to complete the paper in time or not, your efficiency in UPSC exam mains will be 15 minutes better than what you have done in the test series. There's a difference between a mock examination and a real examination. In the real examination, your hands will work faster. You will have familiar themes which you have already written and practiced upon. You will have 1 or 2 bouncers in every paper, so that will reduce the number of questions that you have to write. Don't overinvest on those questions. As long as you don't overinvest on those questions, you will do well. and you will be able to complete the paper. And above all, over and above these tips, believe in your preparation. You have worked really hard for this in the last few months, and it will come together. There will be intersections of things which you have never thought of. You will come across themes which you are familiar with. You will come across themes which you are prepared for, and everything will work. And all the best.